In today's episode, we're going to keep it kind of short, kind of sweet, and go back to the basics and talk about the various reasons why you should grow food or could grow food, different motivations, let's say, for wanting to grow food at home, and invite this practice of building on your journey of understanding what it means to grow food for yourself and for your family or for your community. I'm so glad that you're here. I hope you had a wonderful, long, restful weekend. I am recording this show at the end of May 2024. And so we here in the US, we have just celebrated Memorial Day weekend, which always feels like the start of summer to me, even though we still have a month officially of spring left. Anyway, I'm glad that you're here, and I hope that you are listening to this feeling refreshed after a long weekend.
Welcome to the Growing Space podcast. I'm your host, Farmer Erin, owner of the Patio Farmer, and I believe that no matter what size space you have, you can grow food at home. Tune in every Tuesday as I share my best tips, tricks, and encouragement for tending to homegrown edible plants. I'm here to support your food growing journey. The Growing Space podcast is sponsored by Plant Club by the Patio Farmer. Plant Club by the Patio Farmer is a monthly subscription service I started in 2020. It's a membership-based opportunity to take your growing journey to the next level. With 4 different membership options, you get to decide the amount and kind of support that's right for you. All Plant Club members receive access to my online community through a platform called Circle. Having access to this platform allows members to share pictures, ask questions, celebrate harvests, and get to know each other. All Plant Club members also have access to free seeds each month, along with information on how to plant and tend to their crops, with seeding instructions and downloadable resources from the Patio Farmers Resource Library. Membership starts at just $14 a month. Join Plant Club today by visiting my website, thepatiofarmer.com/membership.
So before I jump in, I do just want to put a quick little framing or disclaimer on this episode, and that is that there are just so many reasons, benefits, motivations for why you would want to grow food at home. And the ones that I am going to share with you are just a few that were top of mind for me. There are a few of the reasons why I love growing food at home. I have about 10 different reasons why you might decide to grow food or what might be your motivations for growing food at home. And I'll also say that these 10 reasons apply to whatever size space you have. Being the patio farmer, I do focus on smaller spaces, not to say that these are, in fact, small spaces, but they are smaller in terms of, the big picture of agriculture, right? And food production. So most of my clients, they grow in containers or in raised beds in their backyard. Others have edible landscaping beds that they tend or that we tend together. Others are doing more in-ground growing as well. So it really does span quite a large spectrum of scale. No matter if you're growing a tomato in a pot on your apartment balcony, or you're growing tons and tons of, fruit trees in your backyard, or, you have a little pumpkin patch going, or you just have some herbs planted out front in and amongst your ornamental plants. It doesn't matter. Like whatever you're growing that's edible, there's so many wonderful benefits, motivations, perks to inviting that process and to embracing that practice of growing your own food. So I have just a short list, maybe not so short, I did say I have 10, and it's true. I do have 10 different reasons or motivations for growing your own food that I've jotted down to share with you all in today's episode. So let's just get cracking, shall we? I mean, I just have to start with this no-brainer, right? Like, you might want to grow food at home in order to nourish your body. Oh, wow. Yeah. You might be interested in growing something fresh, something that you trust, something that you know has been raised the way that you feel comfortable consuming it. This is different for everybody. I have some clients who are very passionate and very committed to growing all organically. I would say that that is actually a majority of my clients. And then I have others who, they have other products that they have used that they feel comfortable with, that they feel confident with. And they, that's how they choose to grow food. Either way you go is great. You just have to feel confident and comfortable with the different products that you're using to grow your own food. But, whenever you're growing your own food, you are growing things that you trust to eat to nourish your body. When you grow food, most of what we grow at home are vegetables, fruits, maybe some grains, depending on your space, herbs too. So all of these fresh fruits and vegetables and fresh things that you are able to grow for yourself to nourish your body in a way that you trust. So that is one reason why you might decide to grow food at home. Another reason that you might want to grow food at home is that you want to decrease your food miles, quote unquote food miles, or the distance that your fresh produce has to travel from the field to your mouth. Right? And if you're growing it in your backyard or on your patio, then you have 0 food miles for those bites, which is pretty significant. I mean, considering that most of our produce is not grown locally, most of it is flown in or shipped in from either parts of the US where things might be in season, or, food is also grown internationally and then imported into the US. So there's a true sustainability focus when you're growing your own food at home. You're also able to kind of offset your own carbon footprint. When we're growing plants, we're also pulling carbon out of the atmosphere, pulling CO2 out of the atmosphere. We could all use a little nudge to help decrease our own carbon footprint. So that might be another reason why you would choose to grow food. You want to decrease your food miles and promote your personal or household sustainability. Now, a third reason why you might choose to grow food at home is you might want to save a little money on your overall grocery budget. Now, earlier this year, I did an episode about how to grow $1,000 worth of produce on your patio or in containers. And if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that and how to really maximize a small space with the interest of saving money over time, then I would encourage you to give that episode a listen. I will put a link or a reminder in the show notes for which episode that is, and you can go back and find it in my episode feed. I will say that you can save money growing your own food, but that is not something that happens in the first season. This is something that takes time to build on your investment. So when you first get started, you will have an investment, in some form or fashion. There are supplies and there are things that are needed to get started, to get your space set up. And you can kind of decide how much money you want to put up at the beginning to get started growing food. And then your next investment is going to be time, right? So it takes time to learn a new skill. It takes time to grow in your practice of growing food. It takes a little bit of patience with yourself, a little bit of grace. That is a fantastic lesson or reminder that we can learn from our plants as well. And just, having the opportunity to grow things for ourselves is patience and grace, because there are so many factors that are beyond our control when it comes to growing food. And so the time to learn all of those things is also an investment. But, every season you learn something new. Every season you're able to reap a return on your investments, your financial investments, your time investments. So, in the long run, you can probably save some money on your grocery budget. Just know that it comes with an investment, just like with anything, right? The next reason why you might choose to grow food at home is that you want to invite growth and inspiration to your space. This goes without saying, but it's just so exciting and so motivating to watch something that you planted, watch something that you're tending on a daily or at a minimum a weekly basis, to watch it grow and thrive and blossom and produce delicious food for you. There's just nothing more exciting than watching that process. And I feel like for those of us who have particularly small spaces or maybe live in more urban areas where we might not have as much exposure to green space, so inviting that growth and being able to witness something thrive is just incredibly inspiring. And it's something that I, on a daily basis, am just so appreciative of, is the opportunity to invite growth and inspiration. To be honest, the growth and inspiration, it starts with our edible plants, or at least from my perspective, it starts with my edible plants, but then there's so many different lessons and different things that you can take from your plants and apply to other parts of your life. And I think that's really exciting. Another reason why you might want to grow food at home is because you want to invite learning and education. If you have kiddos, growing your own food is an incredible way of teaching your kids something new as they are maturing and taking in all the new things that they're learning. I mean, also adults, anyone who is growing food at home is going to learn something new and is going to further their education as a human citizen of this planet. And one of the most beautiful things, at least from my perspective, about growing food is that there's always something new to learn. Always. The education and the process of making improvements over time, it never ends. And every season is a little different. You're going to learn things about yourself. You're going to learn things about your space. You're going to learn things about your plants. Every single time you plant something, you have that opportunity to learn and further your education. And I think that is just really exciting. That's what keeps me coming back year after year, season after season to my growing space and my growing practice, is seeing what new things I can be learning and how I can better educate myself as a food grower. None of us, even people who have grown food their entire lives, like my grandfather who was in his 90s and my other grandfather who was in his 70s, they lived full lives and they were dedicated to growing food. And I bet they were continuously learning something new. So it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. There's still always new lessons, new education, new moments of learning right around the corner, which is just so exciting. Okay, another reason why you might want to grow food at home is because you want to feel more connected with nature. You want to feel more grounded in your day-to-day. You want to feel more grounded in the space that surrounds you. And maybe you can use that to feel a little relief of, the day-to-day stress of whatever life is throwing your way. But feeling that connection with nature, that groundedness that comes with interacting with plants, with soil, being out in the sunshine, feeling the breeze on your cheeks, in your hair, a little sweat on your brow, it really harkens to or it really speaks to our core nature as human animals, right? So just that connection with the world around us, with the people around us even, and just being one with nature and that groundedness. If you want to feel especially grounded, you can go barefoot while you're tending to your plants, and just feel the vibrations as well of the earth bouncing back at you, supporting you. Next is increasing resiliency. So limiting your dependence on, the systems, if you will, the food sourcing systems, the agricultural systems, the consumerism systems, right? If this speaks to you wanting to feel more resilient, more self-reliant, this is a huge reason why you might want to embrace the practice of growing food at home, because it really does make you a more independent citizen of society. I have friends and even family members who joke with me. They're like, "Well, when the world ends, we're coming to you." And I have other friends, other farm owners who say like, "All right, well, if the apocalypse hits, you pack your bags, bring your guns." I mean, I don't have any guns. Let me just be clear. And come on out to the farm. We'll all just hunker down together. And I'm like, okay, this is solid. So when you grow your own food, you do increase your resiliency, your own self-reliance. It does give you a sense of empowerment and independence to be able to grow something for yourself and feed yourself, or without needing to support those larger systems of consumerism and reliance on a company or a corporation to feed you. All right, another reason why you might consider growing food at home is because you want to be more intentional with how you spend your time. So growing food, it's a great hobby, right? For some people, this hobby is how they support their lifestyle, and they're able to make a career out of it, like farmers, all farmers, professional farmers. They've turned growing food into how they make money and support themselves and their families. But I would assume most of us listening to this show are really growing food more as a hobby and wanting to have an intentional way of spending their time. So that's another reason why growing food is so great, because it's a truly intentional activity. And, kind of speaking back to connecting with nature, increasing your resiliency, learning, being inspired, and just recognizing the impact of growing food on your own body, your own health, and also the planet's health. It really is an intentional practice, an intentional hobby. That might be another reason why you want to grow food at home. And next is you want to experience childlike wonder. I've mentioned that in a recent episode, but there is just such magic that comes from growing food. And it really, whenever I see something new, or even something that I've seen a million times, but I just love it so much, like watching a seed sprout, I just love it. I love it. A couple weeks ago, I planted my cucumber seeds, and I planted my beans, and I planted zucchini as well. And it never, ever, ever gets old, you guys. I just get so excited when I see those little seeds sprout. And then yesterday I was over at a client's, and she's growing zucchini for the first time. And she started it herself. And it's been growing for, I don't know, a couple weeks now, or maybe a little longer, maybe like 4 to 6 weeks. And she was asking me, well, I don't know where the zucchini are. Where are they? These plants are so big. And I looked down in the center, and I started seeing all the little zucchini babies, and I pointed them out to her, and she was just so excited. And I was so excited. And, it's just that magic, that childlike wonder magic that happens when we invite something as simple as a zucchini plant, you guys, or a tomato. And you start seeing that growth, and you start seeing what to be the food that comes from that plant. And it's just so exciting. And for me, this happens with just about every crop. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at you. Like my blueberries. I'm like, oh, look, there's blueberries all over my blueberry bushes. I'm so excited. Or if I get, a whole armful of kale to take in, or a few snap peas in the spring. I also love watching eggplant grow, because it's purple and the flowers are purple. And it's just, there's just so many things that that as soon as I see them, sometimes I squeal, like actually squeal, you guys. I mean, that probably doesn't come to any surprise if you have been listening for a while. Like there's just such excitement, and it's you know, there's nothing complicated about the excitement, which is why I kind of compare it to childlike wonder. Your eyes get really wide, you get really excited, but it's not like an anxious excitement. It's just like a true, like, taking in the moment, being excited, being invested in what's happening, and soaking up every single moment. So, yeah, the experience of childlike wonder is a great reason to want to grow food. And I feel like that really lifts the spirits. I mean, it's so optimistic and cheerful. And, you know, it's a great reminder, a great way to put things into perspective, right? So, yeah, embracing childlike wonder. And then the last reason why you might want to grow food at home is maybe not just one reason, but maybe it's a lot of these reasons, right? Like maybe as I was going through this list, you were like, yes, like these are all the reasons why I like to grow food at home. Or maybe one of them spoke to you more than another, or maybe there's a handful of them, maybe not all of them, but like, several of them resonated with you. You can have multiple reasons for growing food. There's nothing saying that, you have one reason, of course. But yeah, so maybe a lot of these spoke to you. And if so, I'm so glad. There's so many reasons why growing food at home is a wonderful practice and a wonderful thing to invite into your day to day. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time today to help frame up this practice. And it is an intentional time to be sharing this because, we are getting close to the summer season. I haven't mentioned this in this episode yet, but I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. We are in the hardiness zone 8A. And we have very hot, humid summers, which is when, we see a lot of pressure on our plants, pressure that could come from pests of all sizes and shapes. So, sometimes they're large animals, like relatively, right? Like a squirrel or a bunny or birds. Deer can be quite the contender for pests in our space. And, then there's a lot like insects and bugs too that can affect our plants in the summertime. The warmth and the humidity, it really attracts the bugs. That's when they're most prolific and most present, is in the summertime. So, and of course, then there's disease on our plants as well. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of wonderful things that happen this time of year in our space, like tons of production, tons of harvesting, so much bounty. But then there's also a lot of challenges that we have to work through. And again, it's all part of the learning. It's all part of the journey. But I did just want to share these reasons as a reminder to you as you continue on in your journey. Maybe this is the first or second year that you are growing food at home for yourself. Maybe you're a seasoned pro. This could be, year 10, 12, 20, 30, I don't know. However long you've been growing food, it's good to just keep all of the positive things in mind as you march closer into the summer season. On that note, in next week's episode, I am going to share with you the notorious bugs of summer. Yes. Yeah, we're just gonna do a deep dive on all of the summer bugs. Maybe not all of them, but I'm going to share, like, at a high level, some of the bugs that you should be looking out for in your space. There are some really positive, really wonderful bugs that I'm going to share next week as well. But most of them are going to be ones that you want to be wary of. You want to be keeping your eye out for. So yeah, that's what's headed your way next week, is the notorious bugs of summer. Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Don't worry. I'm going to keep it light, but informative and hopefully helpful. So Yeah. Okay. And as a reminder, I do just want to give a quick little shout out for two things. One is my masterclass, The 6 S's to Success. It walks you through different things that you need to know. I have over 4 hours of recorded content built into this masterclass, as well as over 25 different downloadable resources for you. These include worksheets, references, guides, all sorts of different information to help you and support the learnings of the masterclass. All of the modules, there are 8 modules, and they are all self-paced and self-guided. So you can pick and choose the information that you want to learn, given, whatever time of year, whatever you're going through in your growing practice. And I cover sun, space, soil, season, seed, and supervision. Supervision is what I would imagine would be most helpful to most of you this time of year. But if you are interested in learning more about my masterclass, I will put a link in today's show notes for that. And then I also just wanted to mention, the sponsor for this podcast is Plant Club by the Patio Farmer. It's my monthly subscription service. And in June, we are going to be growing edible flowers. Oh, I'm so excited. I am so excited. I've wanted to do a whole Plant Club month focused on edible flowers for maybe a year or more now. And so I decided that June 2024 is going to be all about edible flowers. We are going to be growing marigolds. Surprise, surprise, you can eat those. Marigolds, bachelor button, which are just so precious, and nasturtium. So those are the 3 different edible flowers that we're going to be growing together in Plant Club next month. Now, if you're interested in joining Plant Club, you can join no matter where you are in the US. I'll put a disclaimer. You have to live in the US. But if you live in the US and you're interested in joining Plant Club, you can join at 3 of the 4 membership levels that I have. So there's the SO level, which is $14 a month. And that gets you access to my online platform. You can ask me questions. There's also a full digital resource library available to Plant Club members exclusively. But you can join at the SO level to get all of those benefits. There's also the KNOW level, KNOW, and that level gets you access to my online platform and also a weekly newsletter that does a deep dive on the crops that we're discussing that month. So you'll get to learn all about the edible flowers and take in all of that goodness. And then you can also consider joining at the grow level. The grow level, you get all the same benefits as the know level, but you also receive a grow kit or a little box of goodies from me every month with the seeds to grow the crops that we're talking about, as well as 3 to 5 different tools that you can use to grow those different crops, grow those things in your space. So if you're interested in joining Plant Club and learning more about growing edible flowers, I would love to see you in June. So be sure to check today's show notes for a link to join Plant Club at whatever level you feel would be most supportive. Okay, and then if you have listened to this show in the past, then you will know that at the end of every episode, I like to share a fun little tidbit, a fun little morsel of information to sign off on. And this week, it is all about elderberries. Elderberries are in bloom right now in North Carolina. Elderberry bushes are also native to North Carolina, and they are just so exquisite. I love seeing them. I get so excited when I see them. And this time of year is when they're in bloom, which is the easiest way that you can spot elderberry bushes in the wild. Elderberry bushes also grow great at home. You can grow them in containers. I have 2 elderberry bushes in containers that are thriving. But elderberries are in bloom right now, you guys, and they are so gorgeous. Elderberries like to grow in disturbed areas, so areas that are in like close to ditches or close to like creek beds or drainage, like drainage ditches too. They really like having their feet wet, if you will. They like roots close to water. And yeah, I see them on the side of the road all the time. So elderberries, if you haven't seen these growing, they're a wonderful crop. Their berries are medicinal, great immune system support. You don't want to eat the berries raw. Let me just preface that. You do need to process them. You do need to cook them down before you eat them. So don't go snacking on fresh elderberries that you find out in the woods. It's not good. You'll have a tummy ache. So if you happen to know that elderberries are native in your area, you can look on the side of the road. Seriously, that's where I see them all the time, side of the road. And you will see these kind of bushy looking plants. They're fairly tall plants. I mean, an elderberry planted in the ground can get somewhere between 6 and 8 feet tall, quite large. And they have these like maybe like the size of your hand. Like if you were to hold your hand out and spread your fingers as wide as you can, that's how big their flower clusters are on the plant. And they're bright white. Right? And there's usually tons of them. Well, I say they're bright white. Sometimes they have like a tinge of yellow to them. But these flower clusters have, I don't know, tens or hundreds maybe of little tiny flowers on each cluster that's about the size of your hand stretched out. And those little flowers will turn into berries and you'll have beautiful little berry clusters. But I, like, no joke, see these all the time. Usually mid-May through mid-June is when I see them most. And my partner, Marshall, this is like his least favorite time of year to be in the car with me driving anywhere, because anytime I see an elderberry on the side of the road, I'm like, oh my gosh, Marshall, look, it's an elderberry. And then, 5 seconds later, oh my gosh, look at that, it's another elderberry. Oh, yeah. I do that all the time. He loves it. He loves it. He loves me. Okay, so that's all I've got for you today. I would love to know if you spot an elderberry in the wild, please let me know. I hope it's just as exciting for you as it is for me. Remember to embrace that childlike wonder. And maybe if you feel so inspired, like jot down 2 or 3 reasons, top reasons why you are growing food at home. If you're not growing food at home, maybe 2 or 3 reasons why you want to start growing food at home. And I will see you all next week. I hope that your spaces are thriving and productive and you're learning loads. All right. Have a good one.
Thanks again for tuning into this week's episode of the Growing Space Podcast. I hope that you learned something new and that you were able to take this new information home with you and implement into your growing journey and into your growing space. As always, I am here to support you and your food growing journey. If you'd like to learn more about the different services and resources and membership programs that I run through the Patio Farmer, please check out my website, thepatiofarmer.com. You can also follow me on social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and oh my gosh, most recently, TikTok. Wow. I know. Here I am. Patio Farmer is on TikTok. It's very exciting. If you enjoyed today's episode, please give it a like or a rating or a review if you want. Maybe share a little comment about your favorite part of the episode. Share it with a friend. The more interactions I get with my little podcast online, the more I'm able to help people just like you in their food growing journeys. As always, thanks for being here, and I will see you again next week.